Hello, this is Kat Miller with Blue Iris Learning Center, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about reflex muscle testing. We had a few people that were wanting to get a little bit more details on that, so that's what we're doing. Now, a few things about reflex muscle testing. There are things that it's just not going to help you on. One of them is determining what the future is. To my perspective, the future is not set until it becomes the now. Until that point, it is just possibilities and probabilities. And yeah, probabilities can be high for one thing, just because we humans are creatures of habit. But anything that makes a change can change the future. So don't depend on reflex muscle testing for looking at the future. If it's private information, reflex muscle testing is going to take care of you there. If you are trying to invade somebody else's privacy, utilizing reflex muscle testing to try and get information about them or whatever, it's not going to work for you. There are also a few things that you want to be aware of when you want to do reflex muscle testing. You've seen before, I've talked about before, the violet around your wrist, unbroken violet, that helps to keep you separate from the testing, so you're not getting your own thoughts, your own expectations so much brought into it. You can still override if you really want to, but the reflex muscle testing done with the violet, unbroken violet around both wrists helps a whole lot in keeping you separate from the muscle testing. So those are a couple of things. One more thing that I think is very important is hydration. Keep yourself well hydrated. If you are not hydrated when you try to do reflex muscle testing, there are a couple of things that can happen. You can have a difficult time telling yes from no, and sometimes they call it like a stutter, where it's like it's whatever. It's not really clear. And on top of that, when you are working with healing the body, when you're working with switchwords and you're releasing toxins, those toxins need to flow. They need to have a river to flow them out of the body. So use water frequently. Drink it throughout the day to keep yourself well hydrated whenever you are working with anything to do with healing. And yeah, often we use switchwords and numbers and such to help us in healing. So those are just a few things to begin with in preparing for working with reflex muscle testing. Now, there are several different ways to do it. There are a couple that I use a lot that I was going to show you today. One of them, the one I prefer the most, I think, is the interlocking circles. You take and you put both your hands together like this, and you hold it tight, and then you say yes, no. The circle breaks on no. It gives a weakness. No is giving weakness. Now, I always pull, I am right hand dominant, so I pull my right hand through. That's the one that I'm pulling. Yes, no. Yes, no. Now, some people may have difficulty in seeing a yes and a no. Kat, whenever I do it it just never breaks. I don't get the weakness on the no. So why is that? The dehydration is one of the possible causes. Another one is you may need to train your body to give you a yes and a no. The yes tends to always be strong. The no, you see how no is strong? I set my intention to show dehydration. Yeah, if you're sneaky, you can do that. But if you are getting a strong muscle still when you are looking at no, there are things you can do to help you to train your body. What you can do is purposely show that the weak muscle means no. In this particular technique, I will go no, no, no. That is telling the body no means weak. After you've done that, 3 times is a good number to do it up front. You can test again. Yes, no. Yes, no. See how that works for you. There are a few other types of reflex muscle testing, and I do have an article on the website, we'll get you the address, where we talk about a number of different types of reflex muscle testing. But another one is a circle and point, and it uses pretty much the same. You're just trying to break through the circle with your hand, and once again, the point is the dominant hand, and so once again we say yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And so that's another thing. And once again, you can go yes, no, yes, no, to tell your body that this is what no means. It means weakness. A third type that can be easy to work with, and this is using just one hand. And if you put your index finger straight out, put your middle finger on top of it and press. Now, if you do this, it's pretty strong. Once again, yes, no, yes, no. Now, if you're still getting the strength when you're saying no, once again, you train. Yes, no, no, no. You're purposely collapsing on no. That tells the body, once again, weakness means no. So yes, no. And I cannot hold it up on no unless I redirect the body as to something that I want. And on my previous video, when I talked a little bit about reflex muscle testing, I talked about using the reverse, where I want yes to be weak to lead me. And the reason I do that sometimes, reverse it, is because there's so much less movement in strong than there is in weak. As you'll recall, we talked about breaking up the alphabet by the vowels in looking for a switch word. And if I reverse and I say, I want weakness to lead me to the switch word that I want to go to, and then I can go A, E, I, O. Okay, I know that the word that I'm looking for is between O and U. So now, O, P, Q, R, S, T. So T is the letter that the switch word begins with. I have in my head the switch word that I'm looking for. I'm not actually going out looking for which word it is. I just thought your master switch word together, and so I was using this to show me to go to the T's to together. But if I were to go with the weak muscle, meaning no, watch how much longer it takes to get there. If I go, so now I'm doing the normal reflex muscle testing where the strength is yes and the weakness is no. If I do, once again, the vowels, A, E, I, O. You see how much longer it takes? There's so much more movement in no than there is in yes. And so that's why I do the reverse. Simple. You can use a standing tilt test. And I describe that in the article on Blue Iris, where you just put something, if you want to check if something is okay for you to eat, you can put it on your chest and close your eyes and feel. If the answer is no, you tip backwards. And it's the first movement that you feel. Your body tends to compensate. When you start to feel yourself move backward, it starts to move forward. So it's that first movement that you would want to know. But you can use that for anything. You can use it, once again, just asking questions for yes and no. But that's something that can be very useful as a way of testing foods. Can I eat this? Is this okay to eat? Is there a problem with this particular food? Just another type. There are a few additional ways that I talk about reflex muscle testing in the article as well. And you can read through it and learn a little bit about reflex muscle testing there. And I do go through these instructions there so you can get a little bit more familiar with it. And yes, many people interfere with the reflex muscle testing. That's why the violet. But it's possible, if you have it very strong in your mind that you are absolutely right in the way that you are thinking about something, you might override the muscle testing. You want to clear yourself, clear your mind, and be accepting of the yes or no. And there is one other place where reflex muscle testing may not give you an accurate answer, and that's often related to your own health. If you are scared and nervous about something in particular about your own health, and you are fighting and absolutely can't handle the answer, the body may lie to you specifically. That's when it can come in handy to have somebody else do the reflex muscle testing. It was really funny one time. My sister and I were shopping, and I was showing her things to do with the reflex muscle testing. And we picked up a thing of honey. And I was talking to her about, yes, honey is a medicine more than it is a food. And it's not really wise to eat a whole lot of honey. Anyway, I put the honey on her chest. I went to muscle test her on it. And every time I went to muscle test her, she would say, I love honey. Because, hey, that was honest. She loves honey. But she's still got a weak muscle. Because it was me. I was the one that was doing the muscle testing, not her. Now, if she were muscle testing herself, there's probably a good chance it would have been strong for her, because she was wanting so much for it to be okay. And so just a few little things, but when it comes to creating switch phrases and looking for switch words and diffusing words and healing numbers, because I do use reflex muscle testing. In all of those, I have been accumulating a list of blue iris numbers, as I call them, and I use the reflex muscle testing to help me to determine the numbers and if something is correct. And so that's just one of the little things that I do. Anyway, there you have it. A few ways to work with reflex muscle testing and how to apply it. So there you have it, reflex muscle testing. A few little hints and ways to work with it to help you as you are working with the tools we have at Blue Iris Learning Center. And I thank you for watching and look forward to the next time that we get together. Thank you.
All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this crash course on reflex muscle testing. It's also known as reflexology, reflex muscle testing, kinesiology. There's a lot of different things it's called. So if you want to dig more out there on the internet on it, you can go do some searching there. There's good information beyond what my mom provided. Anyways, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and please take a moment out of your day to hit the little bell underneath the video where it's got subscribe. You can click that button and hit the little bell. Then you'll get notification when the videos come out, and you won't have to wait for me to put it up on Facebook. Anyway, have a great day, and we hope you are enjoying this series. And comment below if you have anything else that you would like to know about. Thank you.